Hi, and welcome to Sweet Sealers Tuesday Talks. I'm Kate Miller, and we're on week 4, anticipating Christmas, of our Tuesday Talk. We're talking about Advent, and I'm excited to see what we have for this week. Please join me. Comment in YouTube or Facebook. I'd love to hear your comments, and like us on Facebook and YouTube. And every time you do, that just generates more availability to more people. And what we're doing, under 10 minutes, we're talking about God and His plan for us. And this is an exciting season, so I'll see you shortly. Hi, we're week 4, and we're going to be talking about love. But before we do, this is my husband, John. He's been on a couple of times.
Good to see you guys again.
But we've talked about hope. That was our first week. Hope, peace, joy, and today is love. We're talking about Advent and preparing for what's coming up. It's coming up very shortly.
Yes.
So love, Advent. Advent is preparing our hearts for Jesus. And I asked John to join me. We have a couple of things to share. And I promised last week that I would tell you about how love expresses itself. Jesus came that we might have life and have it abundantly, and His love is in us because He came, and we're celebrating that coming as a baby. But love, I might be jumping ahead, but what do you think about when you think of hope, peace, joy, and then love? Is love important?
God thinks it's important, so it is important.
Yeah.
And He demonstrated His love for us, that while we were yet sinners, Christ came and He died for us. So I look at love as action, not just a word.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus came into a world that was filled with hostility.
That's right.
And He demonstrated God's love. So not only are we given love supernaturally by the Holy Spirit as one of the fruits of the Spirit, but also Jesus demonstrates it, and we can read in His Word so many good examples and such a fulfilling life that Jesus had when He demonstrated His love for us.
Well, I don't know where it is, and I don't want to take time looking for it, but incredible love is this, that a man would lay down his life. I'm not sure where that verse is, but He did lay down His life for us, for each one of us, once and for all. Maybe it's in Hebrews, I'm not sure.
Well, in John 3, chapter 3 of John, for God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son.
Yeah, yep. So, John, how do we share that love? I mean, you were talking about this morning about presents. Can you share when you open up or when you give a present, like what, because we're going to be doing that shortly. Like.
Oh, yeah. We were discussing, Kate and I have tete-a-tetes in the morning, which is very good for keeping our love fresh towards one another. These are moments when we spend 15 to sometimes 20, 30, 40 minutes just sharing back and forth. But the concept of a present, when you give a present, there's so much more behind that. I recall a great present that I gave to my mom. I built it for her. It was a little coffee table that she could have coffee in bed, and it fit over her lap. But I was so excited. I spent so much time putting it all together, and then wrapping it, and then waiting for the anticipation of her when she opened the box and she pulled it out. And while it was, I was 15 years old when I made it, and I just made it with hand tools, but it meant so much to her. It meant so much to me in the preparation.
That's right.
So it is the preparation that really, really, I remember it. And then of course I also remember her using it every day for the next 20 years.
I think it's important to focus on preparation, though, because that's what Advent is, preparing our hearts.
Yes.
So preparing my heart to be with my family, preparing my heart to give a present, and not just, and I've been guilty of this, just wrapping the present, get them done, get them under the tree. I don't want to do that. I want to prepare each present, and as I'm preparing each present, maybe it's baking little loaves of bread for family members, or baking cookies, but thinking about those people that I'm going to be giving this present to, And you probably did that with your mom, thinking, oh,
Yes.
she's going to really like it. And you had said anticipation. We anticipate a lot.
Yes.
And yeah.
Yeah.
So I really want to share about the coffee shop.
Go right ahead.
Okay, so we're in a coffee shop in Portsmouth. John and I do this a lot. We have tete-a-tete in the morning, and then we get our jobs and chores and all that done. And we'll say, well, I'll meet you at so-and-so at 2 o'clock. Got it. Park, we're there, we get a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or something, and then we start talking. And usually you and I talk when we're, especially by ourselves, we're talking about, what are you going to do for Tuesday talks? Or how are you going to put this? How are you going to present that? And we were just talking about Jesus, and we use the word Jesus. Now, we're not loud, but we're just talking just like I'm talking to you right now. And there was a woman who came, and the tables are very close together, which is kind of cool. So you got to be careful of what you're talking about, because you don't know if somebody's listening or they're not, but you know they're listening because our ears pick up everything.
Yes.
Okay. She comes in and sits down, and I always think, where are these people, where different people are from? I don't know if you think that, but I think, I wonder if she's an author. I wonder if she's a dancer. I wonder if she's... So you just wonder about people because you haven't met them yet. Well, anyway, you went to the men's room, and as soon as you left the table, and we had been there for about, what do you think, about 40 minutes?
Yeah.
And she had been 40 minutes drinking her cup of coffee and us a cup of coffee. And all of a sudden, she said, I am so thankful to hear somebody talk about Jesus. And her eyes welled up with tears.
Yeah.
John comes back. I introduced John to this woman, and I just felt like that was a God moment. That was a divine appointment that God had between the two parties, this woman and us. And I told her about a Bible study we were in. I shared, she had asked about a church, our church that we go to. And she said, in this world, it's just nice to hear his name, especially during the season. That's love that's filled in us. God gave us. Remember I talked about last week about Jesus came, I have come that you might have life and have it abundantly, to the full, to overflowing. My cup runneth over. I think it says in Psalm 23, he fills us so much that it has to spill out. So it spills out in our conversation, and people pick it up, and we're not being blatant about it, but we're just sharing. And she felt comfortable enough to say, I'm so thankful to hear somebody talk about the name and the person of Jesus.
And when we talked about Jesus, it wasn't that we wanted to broadcast to the whole cafe that we're talking about Jesus. We were really talking to one another, and I remember that conversation better now.
Mm-hmm.
But earlier in that day, I had taken a Jewish friend that I met at the gym who doesn't believe in Jesus. Well, he has no feelings about becoming a believer. But we got onto the subject about Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And he said one of the reasons why he, as a Jew, wouldn't want to believe in Jesus because he felt that if he became a believer in Jesus, he would betray his Judaism. Can you grab that? He would betray his Judaism.
And what did you tell him?
I know. I said to him, I said, Jesus is King David's son. And he looked at me incredulously and he said, Jesus is King David's son? I said, yes. And then I opened the book of Matthew and showed him the lineage in Matthew chapter 1. Why I'm saying this to you is because as soon as he said, Jesus is David's son, my heart swelled with the presence of the Lord, because it's true that Jesus came into the world to minister to all of us, and that he was King David's son. And he looked at me and said, send me that. I want to study it. Thank you. And we were sharing back and forth, and she was seated less than a foot and a half away, and she saw not only the love that Kate and I have for each other, but the interest and the excitement of that story.
We have to pick this up next week.
Okay.
Okay, we'll see you.